Pricing is usually the most difficult component when you're talking about your product or service and how you're going to market your product or service. You have to factor in a balance of your profit for your organization or agency and the satisfaction of the customer with what you are offering. How you will determine the price depends on several different things. How much does it cost to make your product? What is the amount of profit you desire from your product or service? Are there other objectives within your business or agency? What about the competitors? How much do they charge? Then you have to consider the customers. How much are they willing to pay? So with that, you need to consider what is the demand, and is the demand sensitive to changes in price? There are many different pricing strategies and tactics. We're going to cover 5 common ones. Skimming is when you launch a product at a high price, and there's often little competition, and then you reduce the price later as competition enters the market or the market may get saturated. This is often use of technology. Think about the iPhone. When it first entered the market, the price was high. As competition entered the market, and as the market got a little saturated, it reduced the cost of the iPhone over time. Penetration. This is when you charge a low price initially to just get into the market. You would get your product or services into the hands of the customers. You've been using them, so you build brand loyalty, and then you gradually increase the price over time. Competitive pricing. Competitive pricing is when you charge a similar price to what your competitors are. If supermarket A is charging $1 per banana, supermarket B, if they're using competitive pricing, would charge $1 per banana. Loss leader. This is when your product or service is sold at a lower price than it even costs to produce it. This is often just called the hook. Xbox, PlayStation often do this. Initially, it costs them more to produce the unit than what they're selling it for. What they're hoping for is over time, the cost of the unit will drop enough that they're going to start making a profit, as well as they get residual income from the different games that people buy. Psychological. This is when the price is set to kind of deceive the customer then that the price is lower than what it actually is. As an example, we have $39.99 versus $40. Place is another important thing to consider for your business. What we mean by place is your location. First, you got to think about what your philosophy is as a business and what is your purpose as a business. After you get these 2 things figured out, you need to have a place where products should be conveniently available for your customers. Customers need to be able to drop in conveniently and get your products or services. Quote-unquote places should include a retail location, which is often called a store, or online presence via the internet. Your target market should be a relatively homogeneous group of consumers. You want these people that you're targeting with your marketing efforts to be similar. This will help you pinpoint how you're going to market. Your market segment can be divided in different ways. Here we have a few of those. It might be worth your while to investigate and do some research and really identify and pinpoint what your target market is, and then you can direct your marketing accordingly. You also want to consider promotion for your product or service, and the purposes of promotion are to inform the customer about your product or service, persuade them to consider your product or service, remind them about your product or service. You can modify their beliefs, a little bit of persuasion again. And ultimately, you want to move them to action. You want them to go out and purchase your product or service. During the 2012 Super Bowl, VW aired the Force ad. And this was featuring a pint-sized Darth Vader trying to control his world with the Force. He went around the house trying to control different things with the Force. He went outside and he tried to control the car, start the car with the Force, and boom, it came on. The ad was a sensation, and it overshadowed so many of the other ads that ran during the game. The purpose of this? Like the Passat itself, the Force was an attempt to entertain the whole family, and it succeeded. The 2012 Passat was larger and less expensive than the outgoing model, and all this helped it take on volume leaders like the Toyota Camry, the Honda Accord, and the Hyundai Sonata. This is an example of promotion of your product. There are many different types and methods of promotion, and we'll cover a few here. First, there's advertising. This is a paid message of different types that is informative. You want to look at the efficiency and the price of your advertising. Social media is a new and effective way to advertise. Next, we have sales and promotions. This is when you offer coupons for a discount on your product or services. You can demonstrate your product or service. You can have contests where you may have a drawing for a free product or service for everybody that puts their name in the basket or the hopper. Then you have personal selling, which is door-to-door, agency-to-agency, or public speaking. Door-to-door, like we mentioned in a previous discussion, may or may not be illegal. You want to make sure you are doing what is legal in your area, wherever you're doing that promotion. Agency to agency is when you're going to other agencies and discussing your product or service. And then you can do different public speaking. It's just this general discussion of your product or service. That leads us into the publicity aspect of your promotion. This is when you can do news releases about new products or services, or you can be involved in different press conferences and news events where you feature your product or service. Most businesses do not rely solely on one promotional method. They have a mix of different things they do, which may include using social media and door-to-door selling. What you want to do is make sure that your promotional mix is right for your product or service. Things that you'll want to consider for your promotional mix will be cost. How much is it costing you to have this different promotional campaign? What is your target market? So you want to choose the right promotional method for your target market. What is the best promotion for your product? Then consider what are your competitors doing and how are they promoting their products. You might want to align yourself with that, or you might want to venture out so that you make yourself distinct in comparison to the other competitors.